Hey everybody, it's another episode of the Big Bad Movie Show, and today we're going to watch Transformers the movie, which is a movie I've already done, but I was alone, and I don't like the sound of my own voice droning, and I assume that maybe other people don't like it either, so I got a guest. And with me I have JT from Saskatoon.
Good evening, folks. It's good to be back.
And we're about to watch our childhoods die right in front of us.
Well, we did it before, Neil.
Yeah.
Except now we know why this movie we're about to watch is the reason why Duke fell into a coma.
Optimus Prime saved Duke, and then
he died for his sins.
Yes, it's true. Optimus Prime is the dying and rising savior.
Yeah,
he was brought back to life by Marv Wolfman.
You know what? I didn't know I knew what he looked like all these years, but hear his voice, even like in the current day, like when he had that cameo in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
Right.
I was like, I want to have a beer with Marv Wolfman. He's on that list that I want to have a beer and a game of pool with him and just kind of pick his brain about stuff like how they couldn't put his last name on some Marvel comics back in the day because his name was Wolfman. And that was against the comics code.
Too violent.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was a trademark issue. That's even funnier.
Yeah, but I don't think even then Universal didn't have enough muscle to really go after that. Plus, Marvel Comics would have had the moral authority of the comics code backing them up on that.
Mm-hmm. What a weird time. But anyway, let's get this thing going. I gotta reset my movie here. Give me a second. Alright, I'm paused at 0.
I'm paused at 0 as well.
And you should be too at home if you're gonna watch this with us, and why would you not? It's only 80 minutes. 83 minutes, I think. And some change, but alright, let's get her going. I'll do the countdown and we'll watch this thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. The De Laurentiis Entertainment Group.
Yeah, I remember when my dad rented this for me once as a kid on VHS, there was like a huge gong sound.
Yeah. And then they removed it, and then they brought it back.
Yeah. And, Sunbow production. Man, anytime I knew a cartoon Sunbow was involved with a cartoon as a kid, I was happy.
Yeah, I used to love Sunbow. And then I kind of stopped loving Sunbow. I mean, I still like the early Transformers episodes and the early G.I. Joes and maybe some of the weird ones like Inhumanoids. Gem I never really got into because that's when they were kind of on the downward trend when they started making Gem and My Little Pony. They didn't really put much effort into the My Little Pony series.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that a lot of people, when they talk about how all the cartoons in the 80s like this were just half-hour commercials, and they talk about, like, they didn't even try. It's like, man, there is a hell of a lot more effort and work put into these half-hour commercials than there are now for stuff where, oh, sure, there's still commercials, but, we put real writers on this.
Yeah.
Oh, watch out, you're going to spill the space Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Damn it, Kranix, you spilled the space Kool-Aid.
Wow, that must have been some junk that... I always thought that was weird. That guy just falls over. It's like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And we just talked over an animation flub. I'm not going to point all those out because there's way too many and it get boring. But there's a part where the ring kind of appears over something that's closer in frame. Yeah.
And the thing that I love about this movie, and it's one of those things I love, but it kind of annoys me, is the scale, how stuff keeps changing in size.
Oh yeah.
Because later on in the movie, you'll see where Unicron's standing on Cybertron, but like a few seconds before you saw his paw come down, it was like half the size of the planet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Cybertron's not even as big as our moon. If you really go by scale and you're paying attention, Cybertron's really tiny.
I always thought it was the same size as planet Earth.
Yeah, but Transformers in scale. Yeah,
I love when you see that spinning goo in the corner there, and it's just like flashing images, like background plates of like different buildings. That.
Yeah, it's like stuff that they just kind of reuse from other anime. I think somebody actually found what movie that was from, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the best thing about this movie is the soundtrack. Don't even get me started.
The music is great. I love the casting in this movie just because there's so many famous people in here, and when we were kids, we didn't know who any of these people were. It was just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, look at this. Yeah, starring brave Sir Robin.
Yeah, I didn't know who Eric Idle was when I was this young.
The rebel from detention.
But I knew who he was because, like, Fast Times, like the whole that universe of movies.
Yeah.
That was my milk and cereal when I was a kid.
Elliot Ness,
the scariest voice on television.
Max the chauffeur.
Yeah. It took me until like a couple of years before I knew that was Max from Heart to Heart.
Yep. Kane.
Yeah.
The Micro Machines guy.
I could not pronounce that name when I was a kid, and I still have trouble now.
And Weena McCater as the Hopping Woman.
Yeah, but I mean, for those that don't know, Lion's the name of the band that covers the classic Transformers theme song here. They also contributed a song to one of my favorite movies from the 80s, The Wraith.
Oh my god, you're the only other person I've ever heard mention that movie. Yeah.
I found that movie in high school, and I've never been able to find a DVD of it.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I know of it through the soundtrack. There's a really good Ozzy song on that soundtrack.
Yeah. I love, like, the production line there of the Autobots weapons factory. Like, what are they even doing?
Yeah. You know, it took me a long time to realize that the Dinobots were in that shot. Because they sweep by him very quickly. And I think Gears is somewhere in this shot. He's like, we might have already gone by him, but he's in a wide shot.
Yeah. And I love this scene. It's essentially Peter Cullen talking to himself.
There he is.
Yeah. I actually have one of the War for Cybertron Earthrise Ironhide. I bought him last week, sitting right here in my desk, watching the movie with us.
Yeah. The original Ironhide toy was something.
Yeah, him and Ratchet, because it's all based on the Micro Man and Diaclone toy lines. They have those little cockpit seats in some of the toys. Yeah,
that used to just like mystify the hell out of me. I'm like, something goes in here, and I don't know what. It was all of them too. It was like all the planes, all the cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure even the original Optimus Prime sort of had cockpit seats. And
yeah, because
the chest opened up and you could put stuff in there. I was like, what the hell goes in here? And
yeah.
I did what every kid did, which was to put the fists in there when he was in truck mode.
Yeah. I did that with my Ultra Magnus when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, my dad was like, this looks like Optimus. It's like, no, Dad, it's Ultra Magnus. God.
Yeah, they never used that white version of Ultra Magnus in the cartoon. And I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Starscream.
Megatron doesn't need his fusion cannon to hurt. Words work just as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so slightly off topic. I was talking with a friend about what toys did we never have as kids growing up, and I always wanted a Teddy Ruxpin. How much money would Hasbro have made if they made a plush Teddy Ruxpin Soundwave?
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
You could put the soundtrack from this movie in there. Or from The Wraith.
Yeah. Oh, God. That's a movie we got to do.
That's a good idea. Man. You should submit that to whoever owns the Teddy Ruxpin. The Teddy Ruxpin people, whoever owns that.
Yeah.
Now.
I have to look that up later. Oh, Brawn. My first Transformer.
Don't fuck with Megatron, Brawn. No, you fucked with Megatron.
I like Brawn. He goes down. I don't think he's technically dead yet.
Yeah. Oh, if he's not dead now, he'll die when the ship crashes. They never show what happens when they exit the ship. I assume it just crashes into a mountain or something.
Yeah. I remember feeling as a kid when I saw this, I think it was the spring after the movie came out, so it would have been 87. Seeing the lights go out in Prowl's eyes and the smoke come out of his mouth like that, and I felt really uncomfortable.
And you're so used to them not dying that you're like, they're not really dead, are they? They're not dead.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say a word to anybody. I was like with a couple of my cousins and my younger brother when we saw this movie way back when. Oh,
and here's where you get the confirmation that this movie isn't fucking around.
Exactly.
I recently redid the picture I did where he's doing that to the Psych Hill.
Yeah. No, by rights, that shuttle should have had a smoking hole coming out the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Because Megatron, like, you just pointed that cannon down and fired point blank into the deck. Like, unless it's made out of, like, beryllium baloney or something, it's going to deflect the blast.
Yeah, I think this movie's full of beryllium baloney. Because it's very inconsistent as to what takes damage and what doesn't.
Yeah. Now, over the years, I've heard you and Ben talk about this on Animation Aficionados, gotta say it right.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how you got, like, that kind of rose, like the pinkish red on Hot Rod. I swear to God, when I saw this in theaters, it was correct red, like what's on Daniel's jet board here.
Yeah.
I swear it was like that, but ever since then, because I'm watching this on my original, like, early 2000s edition DVD release of the movie.
And he's pink?
Yeah, it's got this color. Like, it right now I'm looking at it, but
yeah,
I got that when I saw
too.
the movies.
I got that too. It may depend on which version of the movie you have, because I think that the 20th anniversary edition, which is the one I have, is the one where they kind of overcorrected it, and it's, like, really oversaturated, which is really annoying because it's not supposed to look like this. And it's usually a lot more earthy than this.
Yeah. Like, as we've said before, like, this is my favorite song on the soundtrack, Dare by Stan Bush.
Oh, God, yes.
There's his other song that, comes up at the end of the movie there. Mm. I'm pretty sure Blanchard's probably, like, got, like, this twitch. Somebody has said that song wasn't the best.
It isn't. It wasn't even made for this movie, really. It was. We've said this like 1,000 times. Yeah, it was Cobra. Sly Stallone. And they actually wrote this song before Stan Bush was on the movie. There's another version of this song that's sung by Gary Falcone.
Mm-hmm. And you even listen to some, you look up, like, epic rock covers on YouTube, and you find, like, covers of Dare or The Touch. No, is Cup supposed to be a pickup truck or an El Camino?
I have no idea. I think he's just a space truck, and there's no real sense. Maybe he's supposed to have a trailer or something. I don't know. I can't make sense of what the hell Cup is supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like an El Camino because I had a neighbor a few miles over from the farm I grew up on that he had a couple of old El Caminos, like, sitting out this clump of trees that had been sitting there rusting for years, and asked my dad one day, "What are those?" "Oh, those are El Caminos."
Okay.
They're just sitting there grazing. Oh, man.
Yeah, I have some serious questions about what's being said here. That the Autobots are supposedly outnumbered. Now, I don't know if you remember, but at this time in the toy line, the Autobots significantly still outnumbered the Decepticons.
Yeah.
And a lot of them die in this battle, and I'm pretty sure that there's only, like, maybe at most 20 Decepticons.
Yeah, overall. Well, but they have no qualms of ending lives. And
Yeah.
all that. I was just looking at like I said, doing research before we started recording. I was looking at Paul Eating, who voices Perceptor. I didn't know he's the voice of Grandpa Max in Ben 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's been Grandpa Max, through the 4 original universe Ben 10 series, and bringing it back to Transformers, David K., Beast Wars Megatron, is Grandpa Max in the current cartoon. I just was looking at it, I was like, holy shit, because we were talking about the cast before, and dear Lord, there's a lot of Star Trek in here.
Oh, yeah.
And good old Cobra Commander.
Chris Latta. Died way too early.
Yeah. Way before his time.
Yeah.
I mean, what a coup would it have been if he had survived to the first, Bayformers movie and he voiced the metallic Dorito that is Starscream in that?
Well, Flint Dille pointed out that it's just a shame that he didn't even live long enough to see the nostalgia kick in. He died, mid-90s. So it was, well after the Transformers had gone off the air, but before it had really made a comeback. I think it was even before Beast Wars, yeah. So he didn't get to see any of this.
That's a shame, man.
Yeah.
And we see in my first 2 Transformers, the first 2 Transformers I ever had were Brawn, and then, what's the Beetle one? Was that Buzz Bomb or something?
Bombshell.
It's
amazing that I retain all of the names from, the first 3 years of Transformers.
Yeah. It's oh, that had to hurt.
Yeah. And then once you get into the Headmasters, it's who's that guy again?
Yeah, you got to stare at it for 5 seconds before anything kicks in.
Yeah. Although the Headmasters cartoon is actually really good.
Yeah. Man, one of these days, next time I go to Walmart and I see one of those reproduced blasters, I'm buying it. I don't care how much it costs.
All the new toys that they're coming out with now, the classic characters are really fucking good.
Yeah. No, I've got a reissue. That's what I was thinking, because I got a reissue Hot Rod, and it's still in the package because I don't want to wreck it. I got a reissue G1 Optimus Prime on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
The coolest voice in Transformers. I will not argue with you on this. But, wait, what am I talking about? You're not Mike. We love you, Mike. I'm just kidding.
So is the reissue of Optimus Prime, are the smokestacks the correct height now? Because I remember for a while they had to shorten the smokestacks because, I don't know, child safety or something.
No, it's the longer one. So
okay, good. So we're not being stupid anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we just need Megatron without the orange cap on him.
Yeah.
That'll never happen.
Honestly, even if that was available, I'd probably like to get the Masterpiece Megatron. The super detailed, 8-inch tall one.
Yes.
Because that one even comes with the little purple murder gun that he gets later on in the movie here.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they have that cutout like that there. It's are they going to edit this for television?
Yeah, it does seem like a commercial break, but if I remember correctly, when this finally showed up in the, I'll use finger quotes, season 5, they didn't cut it there for commercial.
Yeah. No, Windcharger!
Yeah, Windcharger and Wheeljack.
Okay, Wheeljack makes me, real sad, because Wheeljack's one of my favorite G1 bots.
He was great.
I don't know if you watched that Transformers Cyberverse cartoon they had on the last couple of years.
No.
First of all, when Wheeljack talks, he's got a mouth, so that black strip over his mouth, it just looks like a huge handlebar mustache.
Oh.
But he's half gearhead and half mad scientist with the shit that he builds, and I was like, this is exactly the Wheeljack that I had in my brain.
Yeah. I don't like it when they give the old Transformers mouths that didn't have it. I'm not silly enough that I'm gonna go to Twitter and rage about it or anything, but it's just that's not what it's supposed to be. Stop putting mouths on these guys. Especially Optimus Prime. That drives me crazy. It's like, just let him have the fucking dome.
Yeah. I mean, they even... Seriously, one of the most badass Transformers. And there's some of it, when they draw Devastator in modern comics, and he hasn't had a lot of animated appearances, like, there's something about the way they simplified, all the kibble and everything that should be hanging off him when he transforms isn't really there. And I think it kind of makes him look a little more menacing that way.
Right.
You just see this giant purple and green block of death stomping towards you. Say your prayers and drink your Energon. You're going to bed, kid.
There's some weird laser arcing there.
Yeah, I don't think lasers work like that.
Yeah.
Nah.
Especially the ones that were flying laterally. That was kind of a weird animation choice.
I mean, the devastation around Autobot City should be a lot worse.
Yeah. It's like they killed Metroplex. He didn't even debut yet.
Yeah. Greg Berger, man, like, seriously, I'm 40 years old now. I don't care if we get over, what's going on in the world and we're allowed to have human contact again. If I ever meet him at a convention, I will pay the money to get a hug from Grimlock.
Yeah.
He is my absolute favorite G1 Transformer.
Yeah. Oh, I had that clip of him for ages. On that one Gaming Hipster episode, that was Greg Berger, by the way, guys. Mm-hmm. And Blanchard had gotten that for me, like, during the Animation Aficionados days, and I'm like, and I'm the kind of guy that I appreciate that, but I'm like, I don't have a place for this. If I'm going to use this, it needs to be in such a way that it's funny. And I just kind of sat on it forever, and then I finally had the place to drop it in. And that's why he references Animation Aficionados, by the way. Oh. And I had to kind of work around that.
Yeah. I like that. That is how clean Optimus Prime keeps his grill, just for moments like that.
Yeah. And there goes the trailer. Where does the trailer go?
I've never asked that question when I was a kid, and I always, even now, it's like, it's just off camera. That's all we need.
I always noticed that, like, immediately. I'm like, wait a minute, where'd the trailer go? And then sometimes it would just, like, disappear into something, and I'm like, okay, there's nowhere for it to go.
Yeah. I mean, even in episodes of the G1 cartoon when Optimus can't, like, move, and they get, like, those, like, headlight tractor beams, or brake light tractor beams hauling him, like, they don't disconnect the trailer. Mm. It's like they leave it hooked up to Optimus and make him, like, 4 times as heavy.
I understand why they use the trailer for the cartoon, because it does make the truck mode look really cool, but, like, for him to be in robot mode, that trailer is just, it's gotta go somewhere.
And this is just me as an adult. What are the physical properties of metal in this universe? Because you look at how metal is shattered and it's crumbled, and I know just enough about science to know the force to cause that to happen. This whole city should be rubble by now. Nothing should be standing.
Yeah, sometimes it's splinters like wood. Sometimes it's splinters like glass.
Well, I mean, Megatron picked up that shaft there and fucking hurled his spear into Optimus's gut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're coming up on something that I have argued with a lot of friends with over the years in regards to Transformer. Mm-hmm. Is it Hot Rod's fault? No, it is not. If Hot Rod hadn't done what he does here in a minute, Megatron would have whipped that piece out and just emptied a clip into Optimus and end a fucking story.
He caught him monologuing, that's the problem.
Exactly.
If he had just shot him.
I mean, he still empties the clip, but, he hadn't quite emptied it, so... And then he has to gloat, and that's really where Megatron fucked up.
Yeah. That's an awesome shot. I love that shot.
Yeah.
But this was devastating when I was a kid. I mean, I think Optimus Prime was like a lot of kids' first dad. Or second dad.
He was everyone's robo-daddy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, bawling my eyes out, and like my cousin Christy was sitting next to me, and she tried to give me a hug to calm me down, and I just threw her, no, leave me alone. I must grieve.
Because he's this very gentle voice, he talks in platitudes, he's like a father.
Okay, as much as I want to hug Grimlock, I also want to hug Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least shake Peter Cullen's hand and thank him for everything, because that dude is my childhood.
People watching this today, they don't understand how huge this was.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I've seen so many memes over the years, like talking about, like when somebody put this one on, this is my favorite, where, oh, you don't know pain like I do. And it's the shot of, Bella dying in one of the Twilight movies. And then it's a shot of Optimus with like black and gray in his head turned. It's like, oh, really? Well, let me introduce you to a movie of mine.
Yeah, that always comes up when we talk about like whether or not men have feelings. I remember there was not too long ago somebody put up one of the memes of the two girls talking, and one of them's like, why do men never cry? Why are they so afraid to show their feelings? And then like the next panel is Optimus Prime dying.
Yeah. I've seen that too, but it's like, I wonder what he's thinking about right now.
Yes.
And then it's that guy turned over and it's just like a thought bubble with Optimus Prime dead, and you see like a single tear on his face. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, this, like, for years afterwards, like, I think probably after I'm gonna be generous and say probably like the 10th time I watched this movie, I stopped tearing up.
Yeah. When
this scene came, because I mean, and not really going for the emotional manipulation here, but my dad passed a number of years ago, and if there was a cartoon character that I'd want my dad to be, mm-hmm. It'd be Prime or Ironhide, either or. But that's how much stuff like this meant in the 80s. I mean, you talk about stuff from the 80s being cartoon commercials and all that. And analogous to, there was an interview I read Gene Simmons gave recently, because they're talking about like the Kiss's final tour and all that. And he's talking like, he said, music today sucks. Like, who's the new Beatles? Stuff like that. And really, after like the early 90s, he's talking about how music, no one plays their own instruments, no one writes stuff. Really, what cartoon character has come out even in the last 10, 15 years that people have, deified the way we have Optimus?
Yeah, I try not to be such an old man and understand that the kids today, they have their own
way of doing things.
Yeah, they have their own taste, their own style. But I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of also watching all the same cartoons that we were watching, and you're listening to the same music. So it's like, in a way, I do feel that way. Like there hasn't really been anything new since we were kids. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I think we're in agreement that most of the Bayformer movies suck.
Oh, God, yeah.
Except for the first one. The first one I will defend, because it's not that bad.
I just don't... You know what? For me, it's not even the movies themselves. It's just that I don't like the character designs, because I can't really, like, see the faces. They just look like crumpled metal to me. It's like, they look like giant metal Doritos. It's, again, the first movie I think is the best. It's the one you don't have, compared to the other movies, you don't have that hard time telling which character is which. Because even with, like, Revenge of the Fallen, and it all looks like walking piles of scrap metal. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, Starscream's being an opportunistic little bitch. What a shock. I did not see this coming. He hasn't done this dozens of times.
Like, I understand, like, there's been so many articles I've read over the years and arguments I've had with people, and it always comes back to keep your enemies close, or your friends close and your enemies closer with him. But after, like, the 37th time he tried to coup, you think Megatron would have just put the fusion cannon to the base of his neck and pulled the trigger.
I mean, he almost did it once. It was the Bruticus episode where he finally exiled Starscream.
Yeah.
And then for some reason he was dumb enough to let him back in.
And I'm quoting Bennett the Sage when I say this. We needed Megatron to walk in and just dome a bitch scene. Like, literally, it's like Fifth Element style. Just walk in, pull the trigger. Anyone got a problem with that?
Yeah. We asked Flint Dille how long it was after the movie that they made the decision to bring Optimus Prime back, and he said a week.
Jesus.
It's like, we fucked up.
A week?
Oh my God.
Well, and that's what you're talking at the beginning there, folks, is, after this came the G.I. Joe movie that Neil and I did, a couple of years ago now, and, that's why Duke was supposed to straight up die. Like, they should have ended that movie with a funeral scene.
Yeah, that would have been a better movie if Duke had actually died. I don't like the end of that movie because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's cheap.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, it's cheap. I mean, it couldn't have been cheap to hire Don Johnson to voice Lieutenant Falcon.
Well, yeah, I don't mean like cheap money. I mean just kind of a cheesy way to finish off the movie. They get a phone call. What's that? Duke's okay? All right. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then he's not even in the next cartoon.
Did he not show up in the Deke series?
Well, he did eventually, but he wasn't in Operation Dragonfire at all.
God, I tried watching that the other day, and
it's okay. It's acceptable. It's not as bad as the remainder of the Deke stuff.
What, like where Night Creeper took a blow to the head and Fred Flintstone his way into trying to rule Egypt?
Yeah.
I had okay, at this point in my life, I had no idea I knew of Orson Welles. Like, I knew of War of the Worlds, kinda. But for years afterwards, I was like, okay, yay, Orson Welles voiced the Transformer. I should care why.
I knew the name, and I think it was just because my mom was kind of a movie buff, and so I would hear about Citizen Kane every now and then. I'm like, oh, yeah. That guy. And then I realized he was the guy from the Muppet movie. The guy that they end up seeing at the end who gives them their contract. Lou Lord.
Yeah. It's got some weird, vaguely hentai-esque tentacles going on there.
Yeah. Now Kevin Thompson has a weird theory about this scene, and he's obviously wrong. He thinks that Megatron and Galvatron are not the same character. And everyone he's told this theory to has been like, you're crazy. First of all, this scene makes no sense if that's the case, because Unicron has to convince him to do his bidding, and if he could just like erase Megatron and replace him with another character, it's like he doesn't have to do any of this.
Yeah, like there's obviously a reason why he's making this offer.
Yeah.
Unless it's like some weird time travel bullshit like from the third Ninja Turtles movie where objects of equal mass have to exchange places or some bullshit.
Yeah, and it's obviously the same character. For a show that has as poor continuity as Transformers does, they were very consistent. It had been acknowledged both explicitly and implicitly throughout the entire third season that these two characters are the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even up for debate. Optimus Prime himself said it. He basically said, like, yeah, I know you're Megatron, I know you too well.
Yeah. No, I was saying, I've seen images of like fan art on Instagram of people doing statues of, parts of him are still Megatron, and then you got the schematic parts, and then you see parts of Galvatron. Right. And I swear that there's like a fans project build or something of like a statue where large parts of it are the schematic bits, and then you see it's just Galvatron on the finished bits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've always loved that piece animation, this movie, like the, with the Xerox sound and him seeing like the inner workings of the Autobot's body like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the Transformers, the essential guide that was written by Simon Furman in the early 2000s, like one of those big old, like, thick covered things. And some of the shots where you see, like, the inner workings of Optimus and Megatron, I've always loved artwork like that.
Right.
And here we see Starscream has engaged Liberace mode. He's fabulous!
I like that he's such an ass. He's got to have a crown and a cape and everything.
Shoulder
and
pads.
Huge shoulder pads, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love there's, I think there's a masterpiece of this statue or something of Starscream with the cape and the shoulder pads and everything.
Now, what kind of laser blast is it? It doesn't go through him, but it, like, I guess it just shorts him out or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, this is so brutal. But, yeah.
I know, extreme microwave setting.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute.
Like, have you ever accidentally microwaved a pepperoni stick?
No.
That's essentially what he did.
Yeah.
And I always love, the thing I've loved the most about the designs of this movie, like with Galvatron specifically, like, he is a robo-samurai.
Right.
There's no other way to describe that design. And I've had people disagree with me, and I'm talking vehemently disagree with me. Like, how do you not see it?
Right.
No. But the thing about, like, the Starscream's crown and that, do you realize that is one of the most recurring motifs from this movie? In, like, toys for years later, like, you get statues where he has the crown, from the Transformers Cybertron toy series. Eventually in that, Starscream gets this huge power boost, and he grows to, like, gargantuan size, and he just randomly generates the crown when he grows. He grows to the size of, like, Godzilla, and all of a sudden he's wearing the crown for no other reason to signify his magnificence.
Right. Scatman, Crothers, and Kasem. There are a lot of, like, big names that were in the cast before the movie, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. I mean, that's Shaggy and Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah.
You know,
well, Scatman was in The Shining. He was in a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I really just knew him from The Shining and Hong Kong Phooey. I mean, there's probably a lot of other stuff I've seen him in that I'm just not remembering. But quick aside from Transformers, what do you think of Matthew Lillard's take on Shaggy versus Kasem?
It's fine. I know that Casey is not the most imitatable person, so it's close enough for me.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good, but again, there are people who's like, no, if it's like, the anti-reproduction people in the toy collecting, world. I'm seeing a lot of people bitching about that right now.
I mean, some voices are not easy to replicate. I've never really heard a Starscream that sounds like Chris Latta, and I don't expect it to, because it's, like only one person can really do that voice.
Yeah, they all just try to do like this metal on metal screeching.
Yeah. And he wasn't really screechy, he was just kind of like high pitched and kind of whiny, actually.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they tweaked it in post afterwards. I just remember when I was probably like 15 or 16, like just getting into high school, got access to the internet, and I found out that Bumblebee is also Spider-Man.
I knew that immediately because I was a huge fan of the Spider-Man cartoon. And I heard Bumblebee talk. I'm like, hey, there's my guy.
Yeah. No, I remember hearing that, and I love how a lot of the voice actors, when you see videos of them on YouTube, like from Transformers and a lot of shows, but talking specifically about the Transformers, how he is one of the guys is like so relentlessly positive about being some people's favorite Transformer. Like, I saw a video with him and, was it James Arnold Taylor who voiced, Cheetor? And they're just talking with the guy that's working the camera about, asked, how do you guys feel about being somebody's favorite Transformer like that? And he was just so grateful and positive about being somebody's favorite anything.
Now, what did you think about turning Bumblebee into Goldbug?
I remember I think that's probably one of the first times. I didn't have a word for it then, but I think that's one of the first times that I experienced fanboy rage.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you change my favorite thing into something else?
Blanchard interviewed Dan Gilvezan, and he told Dan that he actually liked Goldbug, and Dan was like, no. He wasn't rude to Blanchard, but he made it known that he was not a fan of the change.
Yeah,
It was really funny.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of those unnecessary changes, because that's like later on in the 90s when somebody would get like a weird power upgrade, or they'd get like a wacky redesign on their costume, like Captain America's super soldier serum starts breaking down, he's got to wear this Iron Man like armor for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely unnecessary.
Well, it's because the new toy came out, and that's when you first understand what cynicism is.
Yeah.
Just that you have to change this lovable character because the new toy came out, and even though the new toy is ugly, you have to make it look like that. And it's like, come on.
See, my question is, why did they have to use two ships? Like, why didn't you just all crowd onto the one? There had to have been enough room.
Don't know. Didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, if one ship blew up and it was the one with the Matrix in it, they'd be screwed anyway.
Yeah. End of freaking list.
It's like kaboom, roll credits.
Yeah. It's Hot Rod, what are you doing? It's cool, I saw this on TV. Because really, where else is he going to see somebody working a lasso?
Yeah. Now here's the Petro Rabbits line.
Yeah.
Nice little reference that flew over the heads of every kid who watched this movie.
Oh God, I'm not kidding. When I was, and again going back to my high school, there was grade 11, and we were doing we were covering Of Mice and Men in my English class, and we had just watched I think it's the was it the Gary Sinise version of Mice and Men that where Randy Quaid played the dumb guy?
I don't remember.
I think so. And I just remember we all were crying, and then, end of the day I go home, and what movie did I watch that night but Transformers, because it was on Cartoon Network. And I wasn't crying, I wasn't getting worked up, but as soon as he's like, tell Grimlock about Petro Rabbits, I started like just openly weeping. And got up, had to get a Kleenex to dab my, my mom's like, what's the matter? I told her, it was like, we just watched, Of Mice and Men in English today. And my dad caught that, and my dad shut the hell up. My brother started talking smack, and my mother just withered him with a glare. How strong does your stare have to be?
But at least Cup didn't have to put Grimlock out of his misery.
Yeah. I still remember watching this at home one time, and my dad asked, he's walking through past the living room, and he stops and he looks at the TV, Unsolved Mysteries, and I was like, uh-huh. And he just kept on about his business. He just like, huh.
So I'm just picturing Grimlock holding Daniel. He's like, he not move anymore. And the movie just ends on a sad note.
Yeah. In case you hadn't figured it out yet, folks, RC is Princess Leia, Springer is Han Solo, and that makes Hot Rod.
Yeah, the laser sword's just a little on the nose.
Well,
and he's training on the shuttle to... Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. And, like I said, Galvatron's an evil robot samurai, and what was Darth Vader designed to look like?
Jesus Christ.
I love this line. Just, whoop! honestly, I love the animation. Like, which studio did the animation for this, Neil?
Toei Animation, and it was their movie department, obviously.
Yeah. Because I love how sometimes the metal looks like really polished and almost shiny, and then other times it kind of has like this, like where Cyclonus is taken up, it has this almost matte-like quality.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the painting, the cell painting from the studio.
Yeah. Also, and as a kid, never questioned how there could be smoke trails in space.
Yeah.
Or how the Quintesson planet maintains an atmosphere.
Yeah. Speaking of the animation, I remember like years after this cartoon, I was like, wow, I really like that animation that Sunbow had and some Deke cartoons had, and then it kind of went away for a long time, and I'm like, why did that disappear? And then I saw anime for the first time, I'm like, oh, now I understand.
Yeah, I think when I had that revelation, it's like, oh.
Yeah, suddenly. And I'm like, there's a whole genre, there's a whole bunch of cartoons of this style of anime. I'm gonna get every fucking tape I can get my hands on.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't so much tapes as like talking with friends, high school. It's like you realize that Voltron and Robotech was anime, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, and then it really makes sense in retrospect because you're like, the plot of Robotech seemed to change 3 different times with completely different characters and often very different character designs. It's almost like it's 3 different shows.
See, and even as a kid, I have to question this here. Okay, you give Galvatron the mind whammy, and you talk to him and tell him, no, it's not destroyed. It's on that planet you just flew past. Go back and get it. But no, he turns around and flies his ship all the way back to Cybertron, and then all the way back to the planet of junk. Like, that's just inefficient.
Yeah, you'd think that they might have actually beaten the Autobots if there hadn't been so much unnecessary travel. Speaking of which, how fast did it take Galvatron to get to Earth? I mean, they were literally still looking at the monitor where they were talking to Bumblebee and Spike, and they look up and he's already on Earth.
I know. Inconsistencies. Thy name is Transformers.
Yes.
Now, this is probably number 4 favorite song on the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
The number 3 would be Instruments of Destruction. Number 2 would be The Touch, and number 1's Dare.
I love Instruments of Destruction.
Yeah.
I actually got the CD from that band a couple years ago.
Cybertronic Spree?
No, not Cybertronic Spree. I'm talking about NRG. They put out a full album. Actually, I think it was in 2006, and I'm pretty sure they still sell the disc on their website. And it has the uncensored version of Instruments of Destruction and a bunch of other songs that they had recorded. The whole band got back together and re-recorded all the songs that they had written back in the 80s.
Yeah, see, it's music like this from when, I was a kid, and kind of you as a kid as well, because I don't think I'm all that much older than you. But there's something about like this, the hair metal arena rock of the 80s, that there's just this energy and this, not positivity, but there's a word I'm thinking of, I just can't think of that.
It's very upbeat.
Exactly. It's going back to that Gene Simmons thing. It's, we remember this stuff, but really name a band from like the last 15 years that you've heard of or discovered that evokes some similar sentiments like this.
I keep finding bands like that, but they're all from the 80s. I just didn't hear of them before.
Yeah, I found 2 that really give me the feels like this. There's this band Eclipse that I only have I've only been able to pick up one of their albums. But you look up the band Eclipse, Never Look Back on YouTube. I guarantee you will love that song. And have you ever heard the band Crazy Licks?
No.
They're band out of, I forget if it's Sweden or Norway, but they did this song called XIII for that asymmetric Friday the 13th game that came out like 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The one where a bunch of like 5 people play the counselors and one person plays Jason. It's all selected randomly.
Right.
So the other 5 people, you have to try and survive the night and somehow defeat Jason. Like, you're basically playing, every session is like a new Friday the 13th movie. And Crazy Legs did this song called XIII, and it's all about Jason. You know, it's kind of like a new version of, like, He's Back, the man behind the mask from Alice Cooper.
Ah.
And then I went and I dug up a bunch of their videos on YouTube, and I just fell in love. Like, these guys had come out in the 80s, they would be up there with, like, Van Halen, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, you know, the classics like that. It's kind of done unironically, I guess.
Yeah, there is a movement now called the new wave of traditional heavy metal. It's like kind of a throwback to 80s metal. There's some new bands I've heard of, like Ambush is really good. There's another band called Midnight Dice, which I actually know the guitarist. So I always kind of promote them whenever I can. They're really good.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
You know, of all the kid sidekicks of cartoons I watched in the 80s, I never hated Daniel.
Yeah, I didn't mind him too much.
You know, the Secret Scouts on Dino Saucers, dear Lord, I wanted to smack those kids.
Yeah, the only problem with Daniel is that we had 2 solid seasons with Spike, and you switch him out for a kid that's skewed younger, and it's like, I kind of liked Spike a bit better.
Yeah, I'm sad. I feel a little bad saying this, but Daniel is only 3 degrees off from being Scott Tracker from Mask. And I hated Scott Tracker. I could give, like, even as a kid, I was like, okay, you know your dad's like this masked vigilante secret agent dude with a transforming Trans Am. Like, we're not talking, he's not capable like Penny and Inspector Gadget. You literally have C-3PO in the body of R2-D2 as a sidekick.
Oh God, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, Neil, what's your favorite relationship in this movie? Because honestly, Cup and Hot Rod is mine.
Oh yeah, I think these two pretty much are the movie.
Oh wait, Cup's Ben Kenobi. How did I not see this?
Yeah, he totally is. Although you can also put Optimus Prime in that role as well. Kinda.
Yeah, kinda. I'm going to stop trying to compare which characters in this movie are Star Wars characters.
It's not 1-to-1, but a lot of the characters are pretty on the nose.
The broadest of strokes.
Yeah.
And I wanted I wanted the Alicons and the Sharkticons. I wanted those toys so bad when I was a kid. And I don't know if the original movie toy line had
a
Sharkticon. They didn't?
Oh, they had a Sharkticon, but they did not have the Alligator Cons. They didn't have the Quintessons, and they were all the toys that I wanted to have.
Yeah. I would love to get with, like, the new, like, War for Cybertron Earthrise based on the second Netflix series. They've got a Quintesson.
That's a wheelie.
Oh. God, Wheelie. I remember loving Wheelie as a kid, and at some point I developed taste. Because it's not a bad character, it's just that voice.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he's so annoying. He's way worse than Daniel.
Like, I wanted a Quintesson toy so bad when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, it's Harry Mudd. Roger Carmel, Harry Mudd from Star Trek, the original series, folks. He's not the Quintesson, he's the one with the tentacle arms.
Yeah, he's also cast as the voice of Cyclonus, but Cyclonus only gets one line in this movie, and it's kind of questionable as to which line it is.
I think it's the "You want me to gut Ultra Magnus."
Yeah, that's a weird one because he's actually flying in Cyclonus at the time, so it's like, and the scene even kind of implies that Scourge says it, And I've seen the script, and I know it's kind of wonky, and I don't remember who says what. But I swear to God, it sounds like... I think it was the case that it sounded like Cyclonus, but it was credited to Scourge. I don't know.
Yeah. I know, I forget if it was the writer or the artist from some of the IDW Transformers comics, when they've done stories featuring the Gladiator, like pre-war Cybertron, and you see Grimlock and Megatron in like the gladiatory arena. They said, I forget who it was, the writer or the artist. It was inspired by that scene with Kranix in the cell there,
right?
Just because of like how they drew and all that. Because this is again, I remember being freaked out by this part in the movie where he's like, spare me this mockery of justice. It's like, into the drink.
Yeah. Some of the dead bodies in the prison there. Yeah, in the prison cell there. Supposedly those are models from Gundam that they very cheekily threw into the movie.
Yeah. I mean, if there were GoBot bodies, then that's essentially genocide, so.
I don't think they would have gotten away with that.
Yeah.
Of course, Megatron has killed Psykill a number of times.
I've seen, because you're telling me about the before, and I remembered there is one, somebody else had done it, but it's G1 Megatron, like where he drops the hammer on Ironhide, but you see from the bottom of the picture, it's a Bayformer Megatron. And it says, I still function, and G1 Megatron's like, shut up. Yeah. See, really, like I said, it's the voice and that speech pattern, because like there's no explanation for that.
It's just why does he need to talk like that?
Yeah. When they did really in the IDW comics, they actually gave him an origin in, I think it's the Transformers Spotlight series, where he crash lands on this planet, and there's him and this one other alien that he befriends, but in order to establish a dialogue, because the alien only talks in the rhyme like that. And that's how they explain, like, when Wheelie is rescued, like, centuries later or years later, whatever, his vocal processor can't remember how to speak normally. So he's stuck talking in rhyme like that.
Oh, God.
But he's still a valued warrior and a member of the Autobots, and no one gives him shit about it.
I guess.
See, like right here, this is the scale that, Galvatron or Unicron should be. Maybe a little bigger, because Galvatron still looks a little too big there.
Yeah, he shouldn't be visible at all if he's planet size.
Yeah. And, I had watched this yesterday just to prepare and keep it fresh in my mind. Exactly how are Daniel's arms working in that suit?
I presume that those aren't his arms, and his real arms are in the chest somewhere, and he's operating. I don't know. I
think they're like stuck in the chest plate, like T-Rex style.
Yeah, and he's got like a keyboard or something in there. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I love how the Autobots didn't hear Wreck-Gar calling the charge, and then Wreck-Gar and the rest of the Junkions were like those two stormtroopers in Force Awakens that back away when Kylo Ren's throwing a bitch fit.
Yep.
They're like, nope.
I like how they just peace out and leave him there.
Yeah. Oh, you can transform. Oh, wait, he's human.
Like they left him. Look, now he's having to face off against a couple Decepticons.
Yeah. You just gotta want it really bad.
Yeah.
For some reason it said that, and the first thing I thought of is from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Like, how can you be a Super Saiyan, Vegeta? And he's like, I wanna. Yeah, I know they have Scourge, and they have like, the half dozen other sweeps. Were they meant to be army builders? Like how you could grab like dozens of like Cobra Troopers and Vipers years later with the G.I. Joe line?
I don't know.
Because I think that was a... Sorry?
I was going to say it's very inconsistent as to how many of those guys there actually are. Like they seem to die all the time, but there's always no less than 5 of them.
Yeah. I love, the thing, this and Beast Wars, like Beast Wars, they take 1 or 2 good shots they're on death's fucking doorstep. But here, like, Ultra Magnus, the boy just popped like a piñata. And then he literally it's like a model that had been put together, but it wasn't glued. So all they have to do is like click, click, click.
And to think, all it took to kill Optimus Prime was to shoot him in the belly.
Like a half dozen times.
Yeah. But this guy, basically gets blown apart, he's fine.
Yeah.
Consistency in Transformers.
I don't care what anyone says, that is the most badass line in this movie. About to die, arms held behind his back, dropped into pit
shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hot Rod is a bad Autobot.
There's a really good picture from an Adam Warren Dirty Pair comic, and it's them tied to a table, and Kay is saying something like, "Now I got you right where I want you."
And I don't even care how physics work in this scene, man. Like, let's say they're, like, very efficient engines. Like, I don't think 2 cars could create enough centrifugal force to get the water spinning, raise the level, and, like, zip out the side like that.
Right.
But then alien robots.
We've gotten this far into the movie, I can't nitpick anything.
Yeah. I love this. This is why I love Hot Rod. He just talks shit to these aliens who are about to drop him into the mix, and he's laughing. And then I love Cup running into battle. He's swinging like the severed tail of one of the Sharkticons, like bonsai.
It's like, what the hell are these things even made of?
Oh, tinfoil,
glass,
it looks like.
Yeah.
Or that scene, like, dude. And here comes one of my favorite lines.
My sister laughed at this.
And I understand the negative connotations of the word slag. In Europe, we do not refer to women using that word over here. It should still be acceptable to call them slag.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why. I've never agreed with that decision by Hasbro.
Yeah.
Seriously. The amount of, and you don't think about it as a kid, and I've, up until like maybe the last couple of years, never realized like they just left like dozens of dead bodies and don't even reflect on that.
Right.
And I love when they have that smile. It's like, why didn't we think of that?
Yeah, it's like, wait, there's more of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if the guys that made World War Z saw this scene.
Mm. Yeah, but I just love how they built these Sharkticons up. They're like, wow, these guys are really, they're like monsters. They'll tear you to shreds, and then they get into a fight with them, and it's like they're made of ceramic.
Yeah. I do remember as a kid seeing this scene and like, okay, that's really sad.
Yeah, but he didn't lose he didn't lose his color, so he's still alive.
Yeah, I remember like seeing, wait a minute, Blur slowed down. Why does Blur slow down? My cousin's like, because he's sad.
Yeah, that's all that it takes.
Man. And if there was one character that came out of this movie that I loved, it was Wreck-Gar. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's because he turned into a motorbike. That's probably like 90% of the reason.
These guys should have had toys, and they should have had interchangeable parts.
Yeah, I think that's a little. If they could do that now, though, it would be easy. And then actually make them proper army builders. I love how they all pretty much have the same design in vehicle mode, and they're like these Mad Max style like touring bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just look like thick like that. And really, how stable is this planet if they can just like burrow under the ground like that? I gotta ask, Neil, did you ever see the Transformers animated series?
Bits of it.
Okay. Did you know that they brought Wreck-Gar into that series?
I did know, and they had Weird Al voice him.
Yeah. Oh, I was watching that at home, and I just like, pointing at the screen, and my roommates were like, what the hell? It's Weird Al, and he's Wreck-Gar! This is the greatest day ever! And they're like, God, you're a nerd, John.
I've only seen a handful of episodes. I saw the one where it was RC and something to do with... It was RC and Ratchet, and I actually don't remember the main part of the episode, but there's a scene at the end where she loses her memory, and it's kind of... It was really sad because it was like this person that you got to know is like... It's like she's dead, but she's not.
And they do... Sorry.
I was just saying that her personality just basically gets wiped because she loses all her memories.
Yeah. It has to do with like the Autobot Decepticon war, and Ratchet basically has to blank her mind because she has like direct access to the Autobots military computer network or something.
Ah, okay. See, it's been a long time, and I only saw it once.
Yeah, and what's cool about that, they actually got Susan Blue to come back and voice RC again.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous. Now, the Vince DiCola track for this, they don't use it in the movie, but it does do a reprise of Dare to Be Stupid.
Yeah. No, mine's got Dare to Be Stupid in it, so.
Yeah. But if you get the... I think it's whatever the BotCon disc was, where it has the entire score, that it does have a reprise of the song in a Vince DiCola track. Yeah, it's weird to hear, but it's kind of cool too.
Yeah. And years later, like I remember telling a friend, it's like, man, he's coming over and we're gonna watch this and like Tremors and a couple other favorites. And he's like, why does that voice sound so familiar? It's like, that's Eric Idle.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, bullshit it is. And okay, bet you $20 right now, end of the movie, you pay up. And he's like, yeah, okay. Oh, look, they put Ultra Magnus's legs in backwards.
Yeah, that always bugged me. It's like, never make a bet unless you're 100% sure you're right.
Yeah. Because he had to run to the bathroom when the title was going, so he missed the part with Eric Idle. So we had to wait till the end of the movie.
If you or anyone you know has seen The Matrix, call this number. They jump to some really wild conclusions really fast here.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the Matrix? It's here. How do we get there? We gotta go now.
We gotta fuck up a giant planet-sized transformer.
Yeah. They haven't even seen this guy yet, and they're like, yeah, let's go get this guy. And Hot Rod and Cup are the only ones who've even heard this name before.
Listen to the metal here, Ian. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Is that or is that not Godzilla's roar?
It could be.
Sorry,
I'll have to hear it again. I'll have to hear it again in post, but yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just saying, like, Ultra Magnus and everyone else is probably just looking at each other like, what the hell is Unicron?
Yeah.
Even earlier in the movie, they're like, Hot Rod's like, Unicron, who's Unicron? He says it like he's heard it like a dozen times, and he never heard it.
Possibly. I mean,
Yeah.
but at this point in the comics, like having gone back and read the Marvel series a couple of times in my life, like they hadn't even really established the matrix of leadership. It was the creation matrix.
Yeah.
And I think Optimus Prime beamed it into the head of like Spike's brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the comics being really weird about what the Matrix even was.
Yeah.
And even in the movie comics, when they did Marvel Comics did a movie adaptation of they did a comics adaptation of the movie, and I think in the first issue, the Matrix just kind of looked like a hunk of kryptonite, and then it slowly changed over the course of the comic.
And then, like, that was fairly faithful, although they did still change some stuff from the movie in the Marvel comic. And if you can find it, like, once IDW got the Transformers license, they did, like, a 4-issue adaptation of the movie, and it's practically one-to-one, like, just in how they portray the story in that.
Yeah. Different face on Unicron.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, at this point, Unicron should look down and is like, why is my belly button Lynn talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the hand I was talking about earlier. Like, that's like practically half the size of the planet.
Right. Now, he kills some characters in this scene coming up here where he kills the 3 Jets and they come back in the series later.
Yeah.
And I think if you even freeze frame on some shots, Starscream's in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Seekers, like, there's an episode of G1 Transformers where they go back and there's like purple, yellow, and green Seekers.
Yeah.
That they, like the green one, they later turn him into Acid Storm and becomes something of a character.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. That was a neat callback to the first episode that they still had more of those Decepticon jet characters that had the old design, the old vehicle mode.
Yeah.
That was the coolest episode for the longest time, just because everything before the first commercial break was so cool because you had the alternate vehicle modes that you never saw again in the series. It was just such a different aesthetic, and then like they crash into a mountain. Yeah. That's what was so cool about that first episode, is that for as much shit as the movie got for killing a bunch of characters, they killed everyone off before the first commercial break. Of course, they brought them all back to life, but
yeah, I love old 80s movies where you have the theme song, quote unquote, and they get that reprisal in scenes like this. And like that sound, just, I remember that creeping me out so much as a kid. Like that was, that creeped me out on the level of, you remember that like really eerie synth score they have is like theme music in Return of the Living Dead?
Mm-hmm.
It's on that level of creepy for me when I was a kid. And I just love how there's all these polished, like, stainless steel surfaces on the interior of Galvatron, or Unicron. Yeah. Just, what purpose does any of this stuff serve?
I don't know. I would love to just have a catalog of all the sound effects from this series. And I'm sure it'd be really easy to get samples of them, because most of it's just taken from other movies and TV shows. Like, if you got a keen ear, you'll hear, like, the Star Trek door opening noise, and tons of Star Wars noises in Transformers.
See, the one thing inconsistently about Unicron's power is, like, Galvatron gets the Matrix, and with this, I will make you my slave. And from halfway across the universe, Unicron starts raging.
And he didn't immediately just nuke Galvatron's brain right there.
Yeah. He lets him get within 20 feet. It's like, oh, first I'm going to fuck up your home, and then I'm going to do this. And
I'm going to
comes.
swallow the Matrix because that's a good idea.
Yeah. I actually had that on a t-shirt that said that. It's just Grimlock, and it has a Me Grimlock kit, but they never made one that was like, Me Grimlock need new strategy.
Should have put that on the back.
Yeah. Although the third season came after the movie here, Grimlock is my favorite, and they gave him so many standout moments in that season.
Mm-hmm.
Like Grimlock's new brain, and then where they downgrade Unicron from being like the evil, like the devil of the Transformers universe to being like this out-of-control science experiment.
Yeah, some of those episodes are kind of weird. I really don't like Grimlock's new brain because it's not that the premise of Grimlock becoming super smart isn't funny, because I actually think that is really, really amusing. But it basically is just like a toy commercial episode. It's like, hey, we got 10 new toys in this episode we need to introduce. And it has my least favorite trope of all time, which is the character who just says his own name. And I swear to God, every time they introduce a new character in season 3, it's like, hey, my name is this. And then like they have no character beyond that.
Hey kids, you want some nightmare fuel? Here you go.
Yeah, it would be much worse if those were actually characters we recognize.
Oh yeah. And
like if that was Mirage, that would be heartbreaking.
Really? You're going to lose it for Mirage?
Well, I maybe not Mirage. Maybe if I don't know.
I'm bugging you, Neil. If you like Mirage. I got a friend of mine, his favorite Transformer was Beachcomber. And I love how they brought back, they reused the encounter suit design for Daniel's Headmaster mode in the fourth season.
Right. The 3-episode 4th season.
Yeah. No, it's just, there are times when I'm feeling down and I'll go on YouTube and I'll find just this last couple scenes of Hot Rod versus Galvatron, because this always gives me like a huge mood boost.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hot Rod was my boy in this movie, as much as I love Grimlock.
Hot Rod is such a basket of positive energy in this movie, and he's such a mope in the 3rd season as Optimus Prime. Like immediately he's like, why am I the leader? You know, he has an entire season that's a story arc of him like questioning his own value as the leader. And then finally in the last episode, the burden hardest to bear, he's kind of like, all right, I accept this responsibility. I accept the Matrix. I'm going to be the leader I always should have been from now on. And then what happens in the very next episode? Optimus Prime comes back.
Now, is that the Zombie Prime or was that Return of Optimus Prime?
That's legitimate Return of Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Zombie Prime was like the 5th episode of season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all the weird episodes of season 3. I like Web World and The Killing Jar and all those episodes.
Yeah.
Any episode that's about introducing a new toy, I hate it.
Okay. I very clearly remember as a kid in the theater crying tears of joy when I heard Optimus Prime again there.
Yeah.
Just, I would love to get, there's a complete Transformers G1 collector's set where it's all in a slipcase and it's the Matrix on the outside and you have to slide the 2 covers off the case to get to the DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
I want that so bad. Because they have the kind of raised embossed surface so you can feel the lines and all that.
Right.
Now, I want to ask you, so you have the end of Return of Optimus Prime. He opens the Matrix and, uses the wisdom of the ages to cure the hate plague. Shouldn't the Matrix have been empty after Rodimus did this?
Well, he didn't use that much power. I don't know. I'm just
entirely too much thought into this.
yeah. I don't put that much thought in. I just always assumed that maybe it only used a fraction of the power to kill Unicron, but it needed all of it to kill the Hate Plague.
Yeah.
Or maybe Optimus Prime was like, "God damn it, this season sucked. I'm gonna empty this so they can never bring him back."
Man.
It just turns to Hot Rod at the end of the episode. It's like, "Sorry, kid, I had to empty the whole thing. I'm in charge now."
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a little guy as a gun, and that'll be your role for the rest of the series.
Yeah. I mean, the evolution of Hot Rod into Rodimus in the IDW comics, I think, is one of the best things they did.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he says that. That's one of those things that just like, yeah. But like they introduce Hot Rod as like this, very much as how he is in this movie, like this ball of like positive energy and like, let's do it, guys. We can do it. And then he becomes like this moody teenager, and he's like, I can lead the Autobots better than Optimus can.
Oh, God.
At one point, he steals he goes to steal the Matrix back from the Decepticons who have captured it, and he gets his ass like royally whooped by a rebuilt Megatron. Because at one point, Megatron got beat up and rebuilt into like this black stealth bomber alternate mode.
Oh.
And like he royally wrecks Hot Rod's shit. So when he heals up and comes back to the group, he's like, just call me Rodimus now. And he becomes this more, to a degree, a more mature character, though he's still the over energetic sort. Hey, here's the cast for the rest of the next series.
Yeah, I was really excited. I was really excited that they kept Jazz and Cliffjumper, but they never used him again.
Yeah. You see him like here and there. Because I know in the Five Faces of Doom that opened season 3, like Jazz is part of that Intergalactic Olympics.
Yeah, but they give him a different name. Like that drove me nuts. I'm like, why aren't they calling him Jazz?
Yeah. No, I love the head ending like this where you get to reprise a lion again.
Mm-hmm.
But man, and it's like I told Neil this before we started recording, folks. This is one of very few movies that I own multiple copies of. Like I've got the original 2000s DVD. I've got the 2005 special edition and the 35th anniversary. It came out a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on a list. Like I've got 3 different versions of the original Child's Play and VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray special editions of Aliens. Like, have you ever collected a movie like that, Neil?
I don't think so. I pretty much stick to one copy per movie. I can't really think of any movie like that. No. I have a lot of DVDs. I had to think about that, but
yeah, no, I mean, and that shows that it should tell you how much I love those 3 movies. Like, there is just, of all the 80s monster slasher movies, like, there's just something about the story and the technical aspects of Child's Play that I love. Just how much I love what they took with the original Alien and turned into Aliens, and how deep I was into my love of the Transformers as a kid. Like, I'm probably going to watch this movie again tomorrow. I'm not going to lie.
I very infrequently watch this movie just because, well, here's the story. I saw this movie once in the theater, and then it was like ages before I saw it again. And I'm like, God damn it, I'm going to watch this movie constantly. So, just because it had been so long that I kind of had like a withdrawal from it, just from not having seen it in so long. And now I can just play the movie in my head. I don't even need to, I don't need to watch it anymore. In fact, I had the sound off the entire time just because, I know every stitch of this movie.
Oh yeah. No, so let me ask you, and then I'll give you how do you stack the Transformer movies that we've had from worst to best?
Oh, I haven't seen them all, so it's very hard for me to say. I'd say that, Dead Last would have to be the second one.
Revenge of the Fallen?
Yeah, I hate it. I could not stand that movie.
Yeah, there was too much Shia overacting in that movie. Plus the whole thing with the parents, like, look, I get that Kevin Dunn was playing, like, he was the spark plug to Shia's Sam/Spike. But the fact that he was never called, like, come on, man, just call him spark plug one time. Like, let's see a picture. He's got a bowling shirt on. It says spark plug on it. Like, it's little nitpicky fan things like that. But no, for me, it goes Revenge of the Fallen, absolute worst. Dark of the Moon. Surprisingly, I like the Marky Mark movies, Age of Extinction and The Last Night, more than those two, but they're still not as good. Like the first one, I love. I will die on that hill. Than Bumblebee and this movie.
I've heard good things about Bumblebee.
Yeah, it's more so than it necessarily should. Bumblebee's got a heavy Iron Giant vibe. With the whole idea with Haley Steinfeld's character and Bumblebee, and he actually turns into a bug for majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And
it sounds like it had a lot of what made the first movie good, which was just the story of the kid and his car. Yeah.
Very much so. And then they even have stuff like they bring over elements, like they say this is a prequel to the Bayform. It's like, no, the way things are set up and even the designs of the like when you see them for the brief scene in the beginning, when you see them on Cybertron, they look like the Transformers. Like Ratchet, you see the white and the red crosses on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. Brawn, you can distinguish between the green and the yellow on his plating and all that. So I highly recommend. They even bring over like Sector 7 and like with John Cena's character. I was like, man, you could take that and turn it into a new G.I. Joe thing, which is what they're apparently doing because they're supposed to be doing like a whole movie universe with those Hasbro properties now.
That was always my theory with the Sector 7 in the original Transformers movie, because I always thought, I think Michael Bay wanted to do a G.I. Joe movie, and I think that was his way of getting them in there.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sectors. That's what really bugged me about the first movie, is that shit. I didn't want those guys in there.
Yeah, we also didn't need Bumblebee's golden shower.
No, we didn't need that.
But anyway. At the end of the movie.
Yeah, the movie
Hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah. It's a fun watch. I like the animation. I'm a big fan of 80s anime-ish type animation. So it's always great to watch this. I'm going to be getting into a lot more anime this year, I think. Mike the Birdman is going to be on an episode coming up where we watch Project Echo. So that was actually one of the first anime movies I'd ever purchased. Maybe just behind Akira and a couple other ones like that. And I'm like, wow, all anime is going to be like this. No. I started on like the best one, and it was it's like nothing has ever really matched it.
Yeah. I mean, just before we go here, like the reason I love movies from this era of the 80s, like back when soundtracks, like it wasn't music from and inspired by, it was music from the movie.
Right.
Like I used to love collecting soundtracks and movie novelizations of stuff that I'd seen as a kid growing up. And, because I love this era where, the soundtracks, like 90% of the songs were in the movie. And if you don't own this soundtrack, folks, buy it now. Go.
Yeah. Get the score too, because the score is another couple of discs, and oh my god, is it good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the original soundtrack CD had like 3 Vince DiCola tracks on it, and I'm like, because I wanted the Unicron theme. I wanted a lot more of the city battle music, because like the whole latter half of that is not on the album. So I had to track down that one BotCon disc that they put out back in the late 90s, and that was kind of pricey, but probably not as pricey as it is now.
Yeah. No, I own the 20th anniversary edition version of the soundtrack. One of the first things I bought on iTunes back in the day. And it has 14 tracks on it. Let's see here, we've got 1, 2, 3. Actually, it has 6 Vince DiCola tracks on here. We got
Doesn't it also have the alternate version of the theme song with Stan Bush?
Yeah, it's got the number one's the basic version of the Touch. Then we got Energies, Instruments of Destruction, Death of Optimus Prime, Dare, Nothing's Gonna Stand in Our Way by Spectre General. The Lion version of the theme, Escape, Hunger, Autobot Decepticon Battle, Dare to Be Stupid, which as a kid, as much as I loved Weird Al, I was like, the heck is Weird Al doing here? And then we got Unicron Medley, Moonbase 2 launch, Megatron Must Be Stopped, and the Vince and Stan Bush alternate theme.
Yeah, they basically added all the tracks that I wanted them to put on. Because everything after Dare to Be Stupid is like bonus tracks. The original album stopped at Dare to Be Stupid.
Well,
yeah,
it was the 80s.
Yeah, it's like you can only put so much on vinyl, I guess.
Indeed. Oh, I had a great time doing this, Neil.
I did too. It's a great movie, and I'll be putting this on the Patreon. I'll put it on YouTube as well. Not with the movie, obviously. It'll still be audio only, but I put some commentaries on YouTube every now and then. But anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you for listening. It's been Big Bad Movie Show, part of ravinghipster.com. For $2 a month, you can go to my Patreon and get a whole bunch of shows. I got the commentaries, I got the gaming show, I got random topic shows, some Geekcast stuff, and all sorts of random shit. Again, it's just $2 a month. You can download all you want, cancel anytime. And like I said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you, JT, for being part of the show.
Well, you're very welcome. I'll come back anytime you want me.
Well, you'll be back for the Super Mario 3 episode.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening, and good night.
So long.
Farewell.